Well, hello chaps and chapettes, and welcome to the February video blog of games that I've played, and kind of like mini review of those games. Now, you may have noticed that I didn't do anything over Christmas or January because time was short to do a video, but I did manage to write up some blogs. You can go and check them out on my blog site on BGG. The link is down in the notes below. And before, I'd like to kick off this video with a box opening. Here's a game called Fishing from Freedom and Feast, which is a new game from this year or last year, and I'm going to open it like that. There you go, and then there's some cards in there. There you go, box opening. Hope you enjoyed the box opening. Now let's talk about the games that I played over February. Green transition. Woo, there we go. I should F11. It looks nicer like that. There you go, big and bold. Okay, so these are the games that I played over the course of February this year. And as you can see, I played a lot of games once, and there's one game which I played twice. Some games in there are brand new, like Fishing for sure, and Wonderland Wars, but I'll get round to them, and KUGO as well, yeah. So I'll get round to them one after a time. So let's start with the first one, Defenders of the Realm. So I played Defenders of the Realm twice. Once with my daughter, who loves this game. We've been playing it for years and years and years since I've had it, and she's addicted to it, and we still haven't beaten it, and we've played it 35 times, as you can see on the tracker there. 35 times, and we've never won. Well, then again, not all of those times are just with my daughter. Some of them are with my friend Guillaume and his family and the wife. But most of them have been with my daughter. And we played once this month with my son. Wow, it was just me and my 7-year-old. And he picked up the rules pretty easily. I dumbed the game down a little bit because this is a game that you can dumb down. You can start with nothing on the board and then let all these minions start to populate all over the world, and the bosses start moving in to try and attack Monarch City and wipe everybody out. But yeah, it's still an addictable, fun game, and it's a version of Pandemic. It's kind of exactly the same rules as Pandemic, but with some tweaks and twists, which make it a bit more interesting. So things that this does better than Pandemic, and I've probably said this 1,000 times, is number one, it gives players lots of powers. Each character has 3 powers, and again, they're thematic to the fantasy world, which is a bonus. You know, you can have an elf that can fire arrows from a distance so they can attack squares that are adjacent. They can be really good in forest areas, so they get a +1 in attacks, and they might have they have something else as well. I can't remember what it is, but everything about the characters feels great. And again, you get quests. Now, these quests are personal to each player, and you have an objective. Go to a location, do something there, roll some dice basically, and try and get a 5 or 6, which will then help you either clean up parts of the map or give you a special item which will help kick ass in the game. Playing without the quests with my 7-year-old was quite easy to do, and he enjoyed, you know, putting the minions on the board and watching the explosions go off and go, oh, we've lost. But yeah, it was a fun experience. As always, it's frustrating. Yeah, we couldn't kill all of the bosses. We can kill 1 or 2, and then the game quickly just overwhelms the players with lots of miniatures entering in different areas of the board, and then before you know it, you either tainted the world with taint crystals, or there's 5 minions in Monarch City, or a boss has got to Monarch City. But this is still an enjoyable and better version of Pandemic. There is a new version that came out last year on Kickstarter, but then got removed from Kickstarter, and they're doing it again this year, which changes the game quite a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it does, although I am wary of Kickstarter now because prices are going to start skyrocketing on postage and packaging as well as production. So, torn. Next up, an oldie but a classic one is Agricola. I've been dying to get to play this again because I love worker placement games, and this, although it's kind of like repetitive, you're always going to build a farmstead and try and fill up your squares and get as many of the animals as possible and keep your family alive. Yeah, it's repetitive. You start at point A and you get to point B thing, but I still enjoy it, and I still haven't played it with all the cards due to the fact that I taught this to my daughter when she was growing up, and we played it without the cards to make it easy for her. And this time I played it with my 7-year-old, again without the cards to make it easy, and also made it easier for him. So I made it so he had to pay 1 food per person he had on his farm. So yeah, Agricola. You start with 2 farmers and some land and a small house, and then you choose an action to either collect resources, and these resources are cumulative. They build up. They build up basically if nobody takes them on one round, and so there might have been 3 wood there. On the next round there's 6 wood, which makes it a bit more tempting, and there's more and more actions that become available, which is, I think, is a great way of getting and leading people into playing a new game. This made it very easy for my son. I just explained the 10 spaces there were at the beginning, and by the end of the game I didn't need to explain anything, because by the time we got to the 27th space he knew exactly what each one did and how to do it. Yeah, you are basically rinse and repeating every time you played this game of building a farm, trying to fill the spaces. But I still enjoy it, and as I said, I still have this urge to play properly the game, the full version, with the cards, the jobs, savoir-faire in French, and the other things, the amélioration minimum. There's major elements and minimal things that you can build. Choke on air. I don't know what else to say about this game. It is a very good puzzly kind of game where you're working around the other players, because as soon as a space is taken you can't go in that space until that space is vacant again, and you're fighting for resources. You're trying to push your luck as well, because as I said, resources build up over time. It's a very good game. I would love to play it with more than 2 players. I would love to play it with 5 players or 4 players, and all the cards, obviously starting at the easy level cards and then working our way up to the harder, complex, more interactive cards, which will do things. So like if a player does one action and you have a certain character, you can then profit off of that character by something. But I don't know, because it's been so long since I read through the cards. But anyway, Agricola, still a good game. I enjoy this, and I still haven't played it at its fullest, well, how it should be played. Cardline Animal is a game that often hits the table. It's going to hit the table tonight because I'm teaching English with some French kids. And this is a perfect game for that. It's very educational. I recently just played Fauna yesterday, which is kind of, again, educational about animals. But this is a timeline game where you're placing cards in chronicle order of some sort, depending on their weight, size, or average age. And it's a race to get rid of your cards, and obviously put them in the right space on the board. Otherwise, you get another card. And so you have more cards to get rid of still. So it's very, very simple to teach. Young kids, I think, will pick it up pretty easily. And obviously, once they have a bit of knowledge about animals, they'll be able to put them in size order quite easily. The weight order, very, very hard. And the average lifespan of the animals, extremely hard, I think. Yeah, that's nice. It's got 3 kind of levels of difficulty in the game, which makes it replayable. And there's a bucket load of cards. If you play 4 players, each player has got 4 animals each, so that's 16 out of like the 80 odd cards which are in the game. So this game is beautiful, enjoyable, simplistic, and it's one of those perfect games. Another educational game is City of Zombies, which again is a game that I'm constantly playing at least once every month or more with my son, who's 7, who's learning maths. This is again an adaptable game which can make the game harder for more experienced players or easy for very young players. And you can start this game off, it does say from age 6 and up, which I kind of agree with addition and subtraction, and the level 1 zombies. We had the level 2 zombies, and we've been playing level 2 zombies for a while, but we haven't been able to win, survive and keep survivors alive until the airplane arrives, which is a shame. But that was until I introduced cubed and squared to the math equation, which is an option in the game. You can cube a dice or square a dice value and then use that value to take away or add to other dice values to try and kill zombies with higher level numbers. As you can see, simple zombies are easy to kill with 3 dice. Where you roll a 3, a 4 and a 9. Well, you can't roll a 9, but a 3, 4 and a 5, and then you've got a 9 and a 3. You can kill the 9 and the 3 zombie, and it's simple as that. But as I said, the zombies get harder if you interject more of them. There are hero characters that you can add, so you give yourself like a special power. This game is just infinitely changeable, and there's also zombies with special powers. So like when there's X amount of certain zombie, they will all automatically move. And there are cards which come out which will help you or hinder you. So they might spawn more zombies, or they might just make the zombies decay very, very quickly. This is just an enjoyable math game. It's a tower defense game at the same time. And it's just done in this beautiful kind of whimsical, cartoony art style, which I really love, and my son obviously really loves because it's a game that he constantly keeps getting out. Evergreen is a very relaxing zen game where you are building an ecosystem with trees, and I played this with 3 players, 2 new players who had never played it before, who number one said this game looks so much better in real life than it does from the photographs that you see on websites and everything, and they enjoyed the relaxation zen feel of this game, as you players are just drafting cards which will give them a location to build, or sorry, not build, but grow trees, and also a power which will maybe help grow the trees a bit quicker, or add bits of scenery to your ecosystem. And you're kind of basically playing in your own corner. The only interaction is from this drafting of cards, as I said, which give you the locations where you can grow your trees, and a special power which will either let you plant more trees, or make trees grow, or give you lakes and rivers which will water the trees around them, which will make them grow, or plant shrubs which will connect trees together to create a larger forest, because you're going to score on 4 rounds for your largest forest size, and also for the sunlight that you captivate or trap with your trees. The bigger the tree, the more points you get. The smaller the tree, the less points you get. But you have to be aware that trees cast shadows, so a tree behind another tree will not gain any points. So placing them strategically is key. This is a photosynthesis because it is the same designer, but zen, and it was really enjoyable. I do like playing this game. I don't think it's a game that I want to play all the time. It's just one of those kind of like chill moment games where it's like, yeah, this is easy to learn, this is easy to teach. A little bit of strategy in what cards to take and where to plant your trees and then connect them together. Is it best to go for forests, large forests, or is it just best to go for tall trees, or because they're going to give you the most points? And then you got to think about where the sun is in position to those trees, because they cast shadows, and yeah, you got a lot to think about. And again, at the end of the game, any cards which are not drafted, they go to a pool of scoring, and then you score points for your large trees in the region, depending on how many points that are left on those cards. Sounds complex, but it's really, really simple. Fishing, the Freedom and Freeze game that I just showed you in a box opening, which is really nice of me. Yeah, I just got this game and played it for the first time. As you can see, I've got 2 plays now, because I actually did play it yesterday, and we are in March at the moment. But yes, this is a trick-taking game. This is a trick-taking game where when you've won your tricks, you count how many cards you got, not how many tricks you won, as points. And then those cards go from your fishing net into your fishing boat, and the fishing boat is your draw pile. And then you play another round, but you will have X amount of cards to draw. And so you'll draw them from your fishing boat. If you've got no cards in your fishing boat, you'll draw from the rest of the deck. And now this deck of cards has different levels from 1 to 5. Well, there's a basic 0 level, and then there's 1 to 5. So your basic deck is basically 4 suits numbered 1 to 10. But then the level 1 cards will introduce an 11 card, and then a trump suit, which is a 5th suit, which will out-trump anything else. And then as you go through to level 2 cards and level 3 cards, they become more and more higher in value for your suits, and they also introduce powers. So like you get a 0 card, which you can play. You won't win the trick, but the 0 card will allow you to take one of the cards from that trick and place it into your fishing net to then go into your deck at the end of the hand, which is nice. And then you have other ones which will let you be the first player on the next round, or choose the colour for the next round even if you're not winning, or to reverse the power of a trick. So the lowest card will win the trick and the highest one will lose the trick, so to speak. And that's it. You're going to be basically going through the deck many times, adding new cards to the deck, which will help those players which are scoring badly because they've got no fish in their boat, so to speak, and so their deck is empty, and then they just draw these new cards which are become more and more powerful. And so you'll have this kind of like swings and roundabouts from hand to hand, and you're going to play 8 hands, and each time the hand sizes will start getting slightly bigger and bigger. Now we played 4 players and it was fun, and I did enjoy myself. Oh no, that was yesterday. Yesterday I played 4 players, but when I played in February I played 3 players. I'm confusing everything now. Yeah, 3 players, it worked, but it felt very swingy because it was like I won the first hand, then someone else won the second hand, and then the other person won the third hand, and then I won the 4th hand, and it just seemed to go around the table as players like, oh, well, I'm going to deliberately lose, because that kind of felt like the best kind of tactic at the time. It's best to lose so your next hand you fill up with more powerful cards, the most powerful cards at the table, kind of thing. It did change in March when I played it yesterday. It did feel a bit better with 4 players, but it goes up to 5 players. So yeah, it is a enjoyable, different trick-taking game. I prefer the classical style trick-taking games where you can kind of like make a strategy of your hand and what card to play at what time. Is it best to throw away a low card, or best to throw away a high card? Something like Tournament in Camelot, or Great Dalmuti, which is, yeah, Great Dalmuti's a trick-taking game as well. Yeah, so knowing when to pass and when to play a good card or a bad card, that's always been a fun part of trick-taking games for me. But in this, it just didn't. I can't grasp it. I haven't got a strategy for it. I'm just playing it now, I think, and just having fun with it. And I think that if you like trick-taking games and deck-building games, this might be a good game for you. I've given it an 8, which means that I want to play it again, and I want to play it again, and I want to play it again. It's a relatively good game. Yeah, that's fishing. Again, another classic game. I played with my mum, who came to visit, and my 7-year-old. So we played a 3-player game. It was easy to teach to my mum. She picked it up pretty easily, but she's not very good at flicking games. But then again, she's slightly better than my 7-year-old son, who now knows how to make a penguin jump over a wall. This game is like a game of tag, or he, or dab, or wolf, or whatever you play as a kid. Basically, one player is the hall monitor, and the other kids are running around the school trying to pick up fish. And obviously, the hall monitor's just got to tab the other players, and it's done with dexterity and flicking, and it's done in a 3D terrain kind of school, where there are doors and there are walls, and so there's places to hide and places to be seen. There's a bit of skill involved. As I said, my 7-year-old now knows how to jump over a wall by flicking the head of the penguin so it goes boom. And then there are obviously curving skills that you can learn, or ricocheting skills. But it is a very simple game. I don't think the scoring system is that fun and that interesting. You do have a bonus if you pick up 2 random number 1 cards, you can spend them to have an extra turn, but you really want the 3 cards, which give you a lot of points. And you get those by collecting your fish, by passing under the door where the fish is, or by, if you're the hall monitor, touching as many of the other players as possible. And once everybody's touched or someone's got all the fish, the round ends, and then you swap. Someone else becomes the hall monitor. But yeah, it's one of those really light, fluffy dexterity games, which is really cool. I really appreciate this one. And it's cool. It's cool as well. Duh. But yeah, really good game. If you have kids, definitely get this game. It's a fun flicking time. You will have fun. Another classic game. Love this game. Jamaica. This is probably one of my highest rated games. It says there 9. Played it 30 times. And I recently just played 3-player with my wife and my 7-year-old, who has picked it up. And it doesn't cry too much no more when he loses. This is the roll and move game with a difference. You roll dice, but you play a card which will activate powers depending on values of these 2 dice. So you're either moving forwards, moving backwards, collecting resources or money, and trying to avoid the other players, but at the same time maybe want to have interactions with those players so you can attack them and steal their stuff. And it's a race. You're just basically doing a tour of the island. The player that gets there first is going to get bonus 15 points plus whatever gold they have, and then everyone else will get different points depending on where they are on the course and how much gold they have. There are secret treasure coves where you can pick up a random treasure card, which will either be more gold, or it might be a cursed treasure, which would be less gold, or it might be a special power. So it makes your cannons a bit more powerful when you attack, or you can get the players to re-roll, or it might give you an extra card that you can hold in your hand from round to round. This game is just beautiful and a kind of middle kind of level of learning. You could teach it to younger kids, but there's a lot to it in regards to throwing out stuff from your holds and where to stop and when to move and what card to play, which can really make this game quite a brain burner of an exercise. But even if you're not good at it, it's still fun when you can't pay the costs of food, or you can't park at a port because you haven't got no gold, and then you have to go backwards and backwards and backwards. Sometimes it's a good strategy to get treasure as well. So Jamaica, I can't recommend this more for kind of families of 8 to 10 year olds and up, and maybe even older. But Jamaica, a fantastic game. Another brand new game. This is a Kickstarter that I backed and I just recently got it, called KUGO, which is a dexterity game. I saw this at the UK Games Expo last year, and I was so impressed by the quality of the components and the idea that you can basically take all these wooden bits and pieces and make up whatever game you want it to. And that's what this game is. It comes with 8 pucks, so 8 players could play. The game comes with some set rules, well, not rules, but basically courses or tests. You can do to capture the flag, you can do another thing, but I'm addicted to playing golf with this thing, so I set up like a hole like that with some ramps next to it. I put out these little sand traps, which are these little cards that they put in the game with sand traps on them, and then place some other wooden blocks here and there, and then that's it. That's my golf course, and we just keep playing over and over again, and every time you score in the pot, you score 5 points, and the player to get to X amount of points wins the game. And you can just make the rules up. There's like Jenga, not Jenga, but Molky, that's the one, poles with points on them. So you can put them out and they can be points to win or points to lose. You got ramps, you got blocks. As I said, there's a little deck of large cards with different things on them, like there's a race line, or there's other things, the sound traps, I can't remember. But this is just a build your own game. This is like Heroescape, the dexterity game, so to speak. You just need to put it out on your table somewhere, and I thought immediately of my Game Topper and the wonderful map that they make. Game Toppers advert coming, and just flick these things around and make up whatever kind of scenario that you want. I played this twice, although you did see it's only logged once on BGG earlier. I played this twice. I played it a bit with my son, and then I played it with a couple of friends, and they were like, what's this? And then on 2 minutes in, they were like, wow, this is amazing, this is fun. So yeah, if you like dexterity games and you have a bit of an imagination, KUGO might be a very, very good game for you.
This video was made possible with the help of Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience with a Game Topper.
Going back to a classic game that I've played a bucket load of times, and I really appreciate, is it's a memory game, but with a difference and a twist and a flip. This is the game Nut Job in English, but Le Bois de Couture in French. I couldn't think of that. So this is a game where you're squirrels looking for your nuts, and you've hidden them somewhere, but you can't remember where. And so you basically will start at one end of the chain, and you have to go across to get the nuts on the other side. And this is very simply done by you stating what is on the other side of the card, and you've got 3 cards in a line, and it could be your challenge is to remember color or to remember shape. So if you're remembering color, you flip, you say yellow, and you flip the card. If it's yellow, you go to the next one, and then you say, oh, it's green, it's red, sorry, or whatever. There's green on there. That's bizarre. I've got yellow, red, and blue in my set. But anyway, beside my point. But you just basically need to memorize the cards really well, what's on both sides of the cards, and then once you get to the other side, you win those nuts, and then you take them home with you. And the first player to get 5 nuts is the winner. It's a memory game, but what makes this fun is when there's more players, you're remembering stuff, but cards are getting flipped, and so you got to remember what that was before, and from nut to nut, you're either remembering colors or you're remembering shapes, and it's like it's carnage. It plays very quickly. It can play very quickly. If at the beginning it's a bit slow because nobody knows what anything is on the other side, but after a while, once cards get revealed and flipped, you start to remember, and you go, a really fun memory game with a twist. It's very small. It's travel worthy. I love this game. Nut Job, Le Bois de Couture. Another small game, Sea, Salt and Paper. Without me, it wouldn't be called Sea. It would be called Salt and Paper. But anyhow, this is an amazing little card game where you're building your hand of cards. And I recently played this with the expansion, which added some more cards which have different powers and things. You're building a hand of cards by either drawing blindly and choosing, or taking one card from the top of a discard pile. And these cards will either come with points on them, or they'll come with powers on them, or they'll just be as part of a collection. And the more that you get of that collection, the more points they are worth. And everything's marked on the cards very clearly. So your first couple of games will be a bit, I still don't know what I'm doing. But after a while, you grasp this game, and it becomes a challenge. There is a lot of luck, obviously, on what people discard, on what you draw. But the fact that you are having to think on your feet and strategically plan which cards to go for, what colors to go for, it all accumulates to a nice kind of like quick playing, brain burnery game. And as I said, with the expansion, it adds more variety because there are cards that you can combine with other cards instead of what you could do in the original base game, and they do different things, like the jellyfish. You get a jellyfish and a swimmer. You can save it, or you can play it. If you save it and you want to try and get a shark to steal cards from someone because you know someone's picked up a mermaid, which are really powerful cards as well, you might want to play that instead of the jellyfish. The jellyfish will sting everyone, so they would kind of like miss around and just take one card randomly instead of giving them a choice. This game is fun. And then you've got that other aspect of when should you end the game. should you just keep going for points because you think someone else has got more points than you, and so you just want to score largely? Or should you bring the game to an immediate kind of end as soon as you pass the 7-point goal and finish the game immediately, so everyone just reveals and scores? Or push your luck and say, no, I've got bucket load more points than everyone else, I'm going to get a good score and have double to everyone else. So fun game. I should have showed you some pictures of the wonderful artwork which comes in the game. This is, yeah, I love this game. Sea Salt and Paper. Another classic game. Let's drink. Set is a very hard game to explain, but very easy once you know what you're doing. There's a bunch of cards which come with 4 different things: color, shading, number of shapes, and the shape. Okay, and you basically got to find a set, and that set could contain one of those 4 things, or all 4 of those 4 things, or none of those things whatsoever. So you are looking for a set, basically. And I'm looking right now if I can see a set, and no, I can't. Yes, I can. No, I can't. No, I can't see a set there. But basically, yeah, you need something, 3 cards which have something in common and everything else not in common. So if it's the same color, they're all the same color, and they need to be 3 different shapes, 3 different shadings, and 3 different numbers. If you find the same color and the same number, then everything on 3 cards, everything else needs to be the opposite. It's that kind of mental brain screw. Now I played this again with my 7-year-old, and he again struggled very. So you kind of got to give him a bit of leeway by playing a bit more slower. But yeah, he understands what's a set and what's not a set now. Yeah, he kind of enjoyed it to a point where it was like we count the cards and I won. But hey ho, maybe one day he will become better, and like my daughter did. My daughter, boom, she kicks my ass at this game now. Although she doesn't want to play as much. But that's the thing with games and kids growing up. But yeah, set is a nice brain burner. Again, small game that you can take away on holiday with you and just play on your own. Yeah, family, fun, and then prove who's the most intelligent of your family. Terror in Meeple City, or Rampage as my old version, which was given to me. Yes, this is another dexterity game. Again, good for kids. Kids love dexterity games. I played this with my 7-year-old again, where you build up a city of buildings which consist of tiles and meeple. You flick your monster around and destroy those buildings and try and eat those meeples. Yes, there's some skill to this game. There's some strategy to this game. Each monster will have their own special powers and special abilities and different ways of scoring at the end of the game. But you'll basically score the same, depending on, well, not really depending on, but you'll all basically score the same depending on the amount of meeples that you've eaten, how many teeth you've still got left, or how many teeth you've eaten, how many floors you managed to clear out, and then obviously special scoring which applies solely for your monster. And again, these powers are all random, so you're going to get 3 different cards. A superpower you can use once, a power which is permanent throughout your game, which changes your game, and your scoring, which changes your scoring, so to speak. And that's it. You're just basically flicking and destroying, trying not to make meeples run off the board. And again, it's one of those games which is thematic, and the rules are thematic and make sense. A meeple flies off the board, they've run away. They go onto the runaway board. If you knock so many meeples out, it triggers a thing. So you might lose some teeth due to the fact that you were the person that knocked out the last meeple from the board, and that's it. You lose a tooth. So you have to play a bit more carefully and a bit more strategically. Things like that. Knocking over other monsters will knock their teeth out, and so they can eat less people. Again, it's just a rule which is thematic, and you don't need it. It just feels natural, and there's not a lot of games like that, but when there are games like that, it's just like, this makes rule teaching so much more easier. The game is colourful, the game is fun. The rules, as I said, are pretty simple. You haven't got much to do apart from flick the base feet of your dinosaur into a zone. If you're on a pavement next to a building, you can then drop your dinosaur directly onto that building to destroy it, which can cause carnage. Or you can use your super breath of your monster by putting your chin on the monster and blowing, which will help you push meeples out of buildings, which is a chance for you to then be able to eat them or an opponent to eat them. But yeah, this is a really cool, beautiful, fun dexterity game, which unfortunately is not around anymore. I mean, it should be. It should be. It's a great game. It probably just needs a bit of tweaking on production values, and it will be a hot seller, I reckon. Maybe change the theme. Cthulhu. Terror in Cthulhu City. Yeah. So a game that I've spoken about in the past and always seem to be disappointed. But my recent playthrough with my 7-year-old has kind of changed my opinion a bit. And here's why. He played differently. He took his time in his programmation for what his car is going to do. I almost said voiture, which is French. But yeah, he sat down and we played, and it wasn't a race of who can take the first player token and who will take the last player token, due to the fact that the last player token will make you lose one of your batteries. You only have 3. But it became he sat down and he was planning out and programmed his car, and he stopped when he was ready, not in a race to be first to get, as I said, the first player token. And that changed the spirit of the game. It made it a bit more interesting. It made it a bit more, he was more a competitive player now. He had taken on this mantle of, a serious player, and he had planned out his route almost perfectly. There were a few times that he ran into a wall or he fell in a hole, but he was able to advance well ahead of me and win the game. Yeah, this is unfortunately only with 2 players. It's not that fun. This is a game which definitely needs more players because it gives more carnage, and again, a longer board helps as well. We played with a slightly longer board than what is written in the rules, and it made it really interesting and fun. Yeah, so this game is basically a programmation game where you're programming with a slide puzzle, and then you live out your actions with your car. The programmation can be a bit fiddly when you're trying to remember your puzzle skills. And again, someone who's good at slide puzzles will probably advance a lot quicker than anybody else. Yeah, this is an enjoyable game still. I think it's starting to come to fruition. And again, I will point out, I did screw up on one rule. That rule is normally when you run out batteries and you only have 3, and you lose a battery every time you hit something or take damage from an object. And normally what would happen is we'd say, okay, right, once you've got no batteries, it'd be the end of your turn. Your car stops. No! What happens is your car flips over, and then your next 3 actions recharge your car. Now this changed the game as well, which made it a bit more fun. Again, it was a bit harder for Robin to pick it up, but when I started going through it with him, he said, no, you got to spend that action to recharge, that action to recharge, that action, and now you can do that. Which again kind of caused chaos, because that last action might have just veered you back into the wall, which means that you lost a battery again. But you're still in the race, and you can still then, on your next turn, program it so you charge your battery and then carry on driving. Yeah, this game is fun. I'm not sure if it's balanced. Again, there was one of the player powers I had was I was able to shoot in all 4 directions instead of just straight ahead, which with 2 players kind of does nothing, basically. If there were more players on the board, there's a good chance that I might hit someone on a round or 2. But with the 2 of us, it was very, very miss, not hit. But yeah, Tiny Turbo Cars. Again, it's a game I'm going to keep playing, and then see if it does get better when I read the rules again and again. WolfWalkers, My Story, is a 2-player abstract card game where you are going for points. This is from the film WolfWalkers, which is an animation on Apple, I think I remember, but I haven't seen it. But yeah, this is a very good 2-player abstract card game. Players are going to be drafting for a pool of 6 cards. 4 of them will be with the image side up with icons on it, and 2 of them will be the scoring face up. So these cards are double-sided. So every time you play, they're going to be different. What cards come out at what time and where they go. And that's all you're going to do. You're going to build this 25 card grid, and the cards that you build, you always have to place adjacent orthogonally, not diagonally. And you're going to score at the end of the game once everyone has made their grid, and you'll score on the formations from the icons on the cards, whether they're diagonal from each other, or whether in a line, or whether they're the same number that you have in your tableau. And that's the game. It's really, really simple, and it's a nice kind of just challenge, a one-on-one challenge with another player to draft the best cards and place them in the best place, and kind of like forward plan as much as you can, because there's only so much you can forward plan when you only have a small pool of cards to draft from. Luckily there's a reference card which tells you how many of each card there are in the game. The thing is, you don't know which ones you're going to be losing due to the fact that they're double-sided cards as well. So yeah, that scoring card might have the icons on it that you want on the back, but it's a scoring card. You can't change it. Really nice, enjoyable, as I said, 2-player abstract card game, which is really chilling and takes up a lot more space than it looks like it would take up. Again, the game comes with some other cards which will change the game as well. So there's some powers, bits and pieces. I haven't played with it. I haven't read the rules for it. But yeah, there is another extended version of the game in the box. And that's WolfWalkers, My Story. Now let's finish off with Wonderland's War, which is a game I played for the first time. I don't own this game. My friend Nicola brought it along and we played 3 players. I've heard lots of great things about this game. And it's been on like a lot of people's top 10 lists from last year's game. And I was eager to test it out, and I'm glad that I did. This is a bag building game where you're going to be putting tokens into a bag and then drawing them out, and then but that's another thing. You're going to have, I think it was 3 rounds. Each round starts, no, it's 4 rounds. Each round starts with a drafting phase. So there's a table in the middle, Mad Hatter's table in the middle of the board, and there are cards placed on it. And you will then move Takedo style to an empty space and take that card. That card might give you some tokens that you can put into your bag, or it might give you a quest, not quest, but a bonus, a way of scoring points, or it might give you an extra character. It might give you some troops that you can place out in one of the locations on the board, which is for the next part of the game. And it might give you some curse tokens, which will go into your bag. Each of the characters in the game have many different powers and things that you can unlock with the tokens that you put into your bag. And they all have, your characters will develop and grow, and you can disperse your powers as you see fit. Again, one of the cards that you can draft may unblock one of your powers. One of the cards might just give you an extra tool which you can then upgrade one of your characters by filling in one of the tokens. So the first part of the round is the drafting. You draft 4 cards. As I said, tokens might get added, troops might get displaced, and other cards might come into your possession and characters. But then what will happen is it will go to the combat phase, which is there are the different locations, and if you have troops in there, you can fight, and you're fighting for dominance, and this will give you points. And to do so, you just got to put your hand in your bag and pull out a token with another player who's also in that zone, and then add up your combat rating. And each of the tokens has different values on it and different powers. So like you might draw a token which will double the value of the next token that you draw. which is cool, and then you can advance on the battle track, or you might draw a token which does something else, which will remove a curse. Because if you draw a curse token, you're going to lose a troop or two from the battlefield. When you've got no troops left, you can't participate in that battle. Once there's like only one person drawing tokens, they can decide to stop, and whoever is the highest on that track wins that battle, and basically will score the points and then get to place one of their castles there, which will give them an advantage in the next battle that happens in that location. Now, some of your quests might be to win a location, or to have X amount of troops in a location after a battle. Some of your quests might be just to have X amount of tokens in your bag of this type. There are so many things in this game. There's so many little combinations of ways of playing it. You're basically just doing that 4 times. You're drafting 4 cards, and then you are fighting for dominance in these different zones. Do that 4 times, and the player with the most points at the end of the game is the winner. There are lots of little possibilities that can happen in this game, and I think that's why this game is so popular. It's very, very simple to learn. But because there are so many avenues that you can go down with the tokens that you add into your bags, or how many troops you place here and there, and then if you recruit any of the special characters which are in the pool to draft, or what quests you get, and if you succeed at them, which I never did. Yeah, there are loads of different possibilities and ways to win this game, and I think that's the core of it. It's just that this is the simple idea, but there are so many arms going everywhere, and you can go anywhere you want and combine these 2 arms together to make that arm to do that. Yeah, and I think that's why this game is done really well. I enjoyed it. I would definitely say yes, I will play this again, because it was a fun time. A bit challenging at first. It took a while to sink in what was doing what, and then obviously remembering my quests, and then trying to do my quests, and then remembering how many of those tokens I got in my bag, and should I spend that to, unlock a power for my character, and really kind of enjoying challenge, light, fluffy, beautifully produced game, and that is Wonderland's War. So there you have it, a load of games that I played over February, some new, some old, and some very, very old. So hopefully this video has given you some pointers if you've just clicked onto this video at any point, just what these games are like and how they feel, and are they still good after X amount of plays? Are they good after 1 play? But hopefully this video is pointed you in the direction whether any of these games are for you or not. If you like this video, just give it a like. If you know someone that might appreciate this video, share it with them. And for everything else, you can go to Board Game Geek, because it's a great place to be. And as I said, go check out my blog, where I will post monthly things and games, maybe some reviews, big reviews that is, of what's going across my table. So until next time, I say ciao for now, and please remember to play nicely with each other. Just sitting at the table next to Felicia with